Have you ever been alone and heard someone call your name? That familiar yet unexplainable voice echoing in places where no one should be. In today's video, we're diving into real stories of people who faced this chilling experience, hearing their names in spaces meant to be silent. Get ready to explore situations that defy logic and leave a lasting mark. These are the stories of those who heard the call, but never found who was calling. Whispers from the woods. I was hiking through a dense forest one autumn afternoon, the kind of place where sunlight barely pierces through the canopy. The wind rustled the leaves, and the forest held a thick silence that only deepened as I walked further in. After a while, I stopped to catch my breath. The weight of solitude pressed down on me, and it was then that I heard it, someone softly calling my name. At first, I assumed it was my imagination, so I brushed it off and kept walking. But as I moved deeper into the woods, the voice grew clearer. It was soft, almost familiar, yet distant, like it was drifting through the trees. I stopped and turned around, scanning the path I'd come from, but no one was there. I was alone. I continued, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling, but the voice persisted. It sounded closer this time, like it was right behind me, whispering my name just loud enough to hear. My heart raced. I called out, asking if anyone was there, but my voice only echoed back in the silence. The voice returned, now sharper, almost impatient. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I turned and hurried back the way I came, my eyes darting around, searching for any sign of movement. The whisper followed me, growing faint and then strong again, like it was taunting me. As I finally broke out of the woods and back to the trailhead, the voice stopped abruptly. I looked back, half expecting to see someone, or something, standing at the edge of the trees. But there was nothing. Just silence. Even now, I can still remember the way it sounded, as though someone, or something, had been watching me, waiting in the shadows, calling out my name. The voice in the hallway. It was a quiet night, and I was home alone, relaxing on the couch with a book. The soft hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in the house. Everything felt still. Then, just as I turned a page, I heard it, a faint voice, almost like a whisper, calling my name from somewhere down the hall. I froze, trying to listen, convinced I'd imagined it. But then it came again, just a bit louder. It was soft, but unmistakable, coming from the direction of my bedroom. I felt a chill creep down my spine. I was the only one home. I put down my book, stood up, and cautiously walked toward the hallway. Every step I took felt heavier, my heart pounding. The voice came again, my name spoken slowly, with an unsettling calmness. It sounded familiar, like it knew me. I turned on the hall light, and everything looked exactly as it should, empty. I called out, "Hello?" My voice echoed slightly, and then everything fell silent again. I stood there, waiting, listening. Just as I convinced myself it must have been my mind playing tricks, I heard it one more time, now coming from behind me, in the living room where I had just been sitting. I spun around, my breath caught in my throat, but there was no one there. I quickly grabbed my things and left, not daring to look back. Even now, I can't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was in the house with me that night, calling my name, waiting for me to come closer. Echoes in the office. I was working late one evening, the only one left in the office. The usual hum of activity was gone, replaced by an eerie silence that hung over the dimly lit cubicles. I was typing up the last of my reports when, suddenly, I heard someone say my name. It was quiet but clear, coming from the far end of the office. At first, I thought maybe one of my coworkers had returned, so I called back, asking if anyone was there. But there was no answer. I brushed it off, figuring it was just my imagination, and went back to work. A few minutes later, I heard it again, this time louder and more distinct. It was my name, spoken slowly, almost like a question. I stood up and looked down the row of empty desks. The fluorescent lights flickered slightly, casting shadows across the empty space. The voice called my name once more, sending a chill down my spine. It sounded familiar yet strange, as if it was trying to mimic a voice I knew. I felt a pull to walk toward the sound, to see if someone was there. But as I took a step forward, the voice seemed to come from behind me, near my own desk. I spun around, but no one was there. The silence was heavier now, pressing in from all sides. I didn't wait to hear it again. I grabbed my things and left the office, not looking back. Even now, I still remember the way it called my name, as if it had been waiting for me all along. The call in the empty store. I was working a late shift at a small retail store, the kind that empties out completely after dark. It was close to closing, and I'd just finished locking up the entrance, getting ready to cash out the register. The store was dead silent, with only the low hum of the lights above. As I counted the money, I heard it, a faint voice calling my name from the back of the store, near the stockroom. I looked up, half expecting to see someone, but the aisles were empty. I called out, thinking it might be my manager, but no one answered. Shrugging it off as my tired mind playing tricks, I went back to the register. But then I heard it again, my name called in the same soft, almost sing-song tone. This time it was louder, like someone was standing just beyond the doorway. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up as I turned, only to find empty aisles once more. I felt a growing sense of unease, but I forced myself to finish counting and started shutting off the lights. Just as the last light near the register flickered out, the voice called my name again, closer this time, almost right beside me. I grabbed my things and left as fast as I could, my heart racing. As I locked the door from the outside, I thought I saw a shadow move inside the store, just beyond the glass. I didn't wait around to check. Even now, I still wonder who, or what, was calling my name that night. The whispering stairwell. It was late, and I was working the night shift as a security guard in a tall, empty office building. My rounds took me to each floor, making sure everything was locked up. The place was eerie at night, each floor dimly lit, the silence interrupted only by the sound of my own footsteps echoing in the empty hallways. On one of my rounds, as I reached the stairwell between the 5th and 6th floors, I heard it, a faint whisper. It was so soft that I couldn't make out any words, but it was definitely there, and it was calling my name. I stopped, listening closely, trying to pinpoint the source. But the stairwell was empty, just a hollow silence all around me. I took a deep breath and continued down the stairs, my pace a little faster than usual. As I passed the 3rd floor, I heard it again, this time louder and clearer. It was a voice, calling my name, sounding close but still untraceable. I shined my flashlight down the stairs, but there was nothing. Forcing myself to stay calm, I continued down to the lobby, hoping I'd imagined it. But as I reached the ground floor, the voice called out once more, almost pleading this time. It felt as if something was waiting for me in that stairwell, just out of sight. I quickly finished my rounds and avoided the stairwell for the rest of the night. Even now, I can't shake the memory of that whisper, echoing in the empty stairwell, calling my name, as if wanting me to follow it into the shadows. The voice from the empty room. I work in a small office building, and I often stay late to finish up reports after everyone else has gone. One night, I was the last one there, focused on my work with only the soft hum of the air conditioning to keep me company. As I typed away, I suddenly heard my name being called, quiet and almost hesitant, like someone standing just outside the room. I looked up, expecting to see a coworker who had maybe forgotten something, but the hallway was empty. I shrugged it off and went back to typing, figuring it must have been the building settling or some distant sound echoing. But a few minutes later, I heard it again, this time louder and clearer, coming from one of the nearby rooms that I knew was locked and empty. My name echoed softly, as if someone was waiting for me to answer. I walked down the hall, checking each office door. Every room was dark and empty, just as it should be. I went back to my desk, trying to shake the uneasy feeling creeping over me. But then, just as I was about to pack up for the night, I heard it one last time, a whisper, right behind me. I froze, feeling the air turn cold. Without looking back, I grabbed my things and left the building, locking the door behind me. Whatever had been calling my name that night stayed behind in the dark, waiting for someone else to answer. As we wrap up today's chilling tales, it's clear that the unknown can often creep into our everyday lives, whispering our names when we least expect it. These stories remind us that we are never truly alone, even in the most familiar places. Whether it's a voice echoing through empty hallways or a call from the shadows, we must remain vigilant and aware of the mysteries that surround us. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the eerie and unexplained. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe and keep your ears open for those whispers in the dark.